Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam, namo namaha, jai Ganesha. When does ahimsa become cowardice? When, as Hindus, we don't stand up for the Hindu yoga dharma. This is nothing new. Swami Vivekananda was honest with himself. He even prayed to Mata Kali, make me a man. And he often complained about his cowardly fellow Hindus when it came to standing up for the Dharma. It's related that there's a tale when Swami Vivekananda was young, when he used to leave a certain mandir, the monkeys would chase him, nipping at his heels, and he'd run away. One day, sitting by the side of the road was a yogi, and as he saw this young boy running away from the monkeys, he shouted at him, "Turn around and face them." The young Swami stopped in his tracks and turned around and faced the monkeys, and they all ran away. We too, as Hindus, must stand up for the Hindu yoga dharma and face those who would invade, disgrace, distort, and pilfer from the sacred Hindu yoga dharma. But this demands, of course, that we as Hindus become concerned, that we learn about our dharma, and then we learn to stand up for it. And we're not advocating violence. Ahimsa is a strong suit of the Hindu yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific lifestyle. It means that we do not initiate violence. We're not violent people. However, this has often been misconstrued regarding the Dharma, that we don't even speak up when others distort it, pilfer it. The sad history of India and the incursions into the Hindus and the Hindu yoga dharma is a sad story of invaders who simply want to take. Now, in other areas of life, in the modern times, Hindus would not put up with people stealing from them, certainly not when it comes to their finances and their precious caste identifications. Remember, this is a word that should be completely eradicated from the Sanskrit, Tamil, Hindu lexicon. Ganesha, too, is a constant reminder to us as Hindus to stand up for the Dharma, even in the face of insurmountable odds, just as Ganesha did in the classic story of his creation. If we don't stand up, if we don't stand for principles, we will fall for anything. One of the reasons that many Hindus have failed to stand up for the Hindu yoga dharma is again because they know little about their own dharma, Hinduism, the Hindu religion. And unfortunately, there's also the extremist notion that somehow Hindu dharma, often simply misusing the words Sanatan Dharma, which were later appellations, meaning that this is the universal way, and everything is merely a reflection of this Sanatan Dharma, so there's no need to stand up. This is really a diluted extremist view. This is the fundamentalist universalist, which is the opposite extreme of the pure fundamentalist, who believes that their religion is the only true one and every other way is false. We need to find a middle balanced ground of realizing that our Hindu yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific lifestyle is a way. It's not the way, and it's not the universal way. Today, because of this complacency, we have all manner of distortions in the name of the Hindu yoga dharma. Number one is the proliferation of this massive, phony, spurious, asat yoga movement. Remember that yoga is a Sanskrit, Tamil, Hindu term, and Sanskrit is, by definition, the ancient Arya or noble language of the Hindus. And it means yuj atman brahmancha, to yoke to one's soul, atmana, and soul source. And the various yogas are the means by which Hindus achieve this soulful spiritual atmadarshana, paramodharma. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, gyan yoga, atta yoga, mantra yoga, japa yoga, nada yoga, nata yoga, kundalini yoga. Unfortunately, the vast majority of Indian leaders, past and present, have actually completely eschewed the Sanskrit Hindu word yoga and Hinduism in connection with each other. And this has created a mass movement of so-called yoga teachers that are not Hindus, that have nothing to do with the Hindu yoga dharma. How sad to take these once profound, sacred Sanskrit, Tamil, Hindu yogas and distort them into a quasi-spiritual but not religious movement, or simply a mass exercise movement. And unfortunately, many Indians who may or may not call themselves Hindus have actually jumped on board. And they too are becoming these certified, professional, 200-hour authoritative yogis. Facebook is full of them, doing all of the hatha yoga postures simply under the guise of yoga. And remember, of all the yogas, there was only one that the rishi said to keep secret, and that is the very one that is totally misused today, and that is hatha yoga. For example, Yogi Svatmananda, in his classic Hatha Yoga Pradipika, after first beseeching Adinada, Shiva, he says, Hatha vidya bhaveda yavate guya niveda tu prakashavananam. This knowledge of hatha is powerful when you keep it secret and completely loses power when you display it. So now we have so-called yoga, which is just a crass materialistic movement that's full of all of its byproducts, its commercialism. It's all over TV, books, magazines, Madison Avenue. And if, as a concerned Hindu, you stand up, speak up, say something, they will vilify you. These people are very aggressive. They are taking the Hinduism out of the yoga. They will boldly say, oh, we want the yoga part, but not the Hindu part. And what do many Hindus do? Koi batne, koi batne. They have the chaltahe attitude, and they could basically care less. And many are so deluded that they actually think that these people doing so-called yoga are actually appreciating the Hindu Dharma. They are not. They are completely divorcing all of their teachings from the Hindu yoga Dharma, which is actually impossible to do, which creates a totally delusional movement. Many Hindus also routinely misuse the terms God and Lord. God is an Anglo-Saxon term, actually Germanic in origin, and it was the very Germans under Hitler that actually totally distorted the Sanskrit Hindu sacred terms swastika and Arya, removing its profound Hindu auspiciousness and nobleness. We cannot even use these terms safely. Outside of India, of course, one cannot even use the swastika. So when are we Hindus going to realize the obvious, that these people are not out to appreciate the Hindu yoga dharma? They are out to steal, just as invaders have done for thousands of years. So, dear Hindus, stand up for the Hindu yoga dharma. We're not advocating violence, but we're advocating to simply stand up and be proud to be a Hindu and welcome others to study the Hindu yoga dharma. And if they choose, they can become Hindus after a lengthy study and a formal commitment, which would mean a name change. Hindus do not have Christian names, for example. So welcome them into the Hindu yoga dharma, and if they choose to learn, let them learn before they ever attempt to teach any aspect of this profound Hindu yoga dharma.